Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the process of this marker artwork that I did, and what I did like about it, what I didn't like about it, what I know I can do better, and the mistakes that I made near the end. So my intentions when I started this piece was to make a practice piece, but treat it as if it was a real piece. So I wanted to put the same amount of effort and care into it that I would a real illustration. And from what I learned last time, I decided to use color erase pencils in order to draw in this blue flower bunch, which is what I've been calling it. Because I noticed previously that when I used pencil, the pencil would stick around and it wouldn't look as nice, so I decided to use the colors that I would be using for the markers. And I definitely think that was a smart decision. It certainly had a big impact on how the final piece looked, and is definitely a method that I will be using in the future for marker art. So my original thought was to make all the blue flowers the same colors, but then when I went to go pick out my markers, I was looking at them and I was wondering if I should make some of the blue flowers a little darker than the others, just to break it up a little bit, but ultimately I decided not to do that and just go with my original plan, which I'm glad I did. I do like the way that it turned out with all the flowers being the same light blue. So as for the leaves, this is kind of the funny thing. When I did this, I actually only have like 3 green Copics, and I hadn't bought any since that initial purchase because greens are just not really my kind of thing. I definitely focused on getting purples and blues and pinks because like those are my favorite, like more magical kind of colors. And so I was working with very limited greens. All I had was just a very light green, a slightly darker green, and then a very dark green. So I had to bring in another Copic that was a blue-green Copic, sort of like a minty color, just to help break up everything and to add some distinction between stems and leaves and the little wispy vines that are sticking out and stuff. So yeah, I think it worked, but I definitely realized because of this that I needed to pick up some new greens if I wanted to continue doing marker art, because all of the ideas that I have to do marker art with definitely include a lot of foliage, which includes a lot of greens. So I actually went to my favorite art shop maybe last weekend or so, and picked up some more greens and one more pink that I really liked, as well as some yellows because I only have 2 yellows actually. So yeah, I have more greens and I will definitely use them in the future. And actually I might be using them in this newest piece that I'm doing. It's a very big peacock painting, like a very fantasy whimsical peacock that I'm doing, and it's on 18 by 24 paper, and I plan on doing it mostly in watercolor, but I want to add in markers into my watercolors to give it a bit of brightness that you can't really get with watercolor paints. So that's part of the reason why I'm learning to do markers, and I want to merge it with watercolor paint, is to add like just extra brightness to my pieces and to make them pop a little more. So yeah, I might be using them real quick here. But anyways, let's get back to the flower bunch. So something that I found really challenging with my first practice was definitely getting all the colors to touch each other without muddying, so that there wouldn't be any little white gaps in the piece. And I think I did that a lot better this time. Still not perfect, but certainly a lot better. Completing this actually took a few days because I would do some work, I'd get stumped, and then I'd step away from it and give my brain some time to simultaneously relax but also think on it, and then I'd come back and make new decisions. Something I definitely learned from doing this was to complete the drawing before you go in with the markers, because this is a bit of an incomplete drawing. In the center, I didn't fill in everything that I needed to. I left some gaps and just plucked in some leaves and hoped that that would be good enough and I could figure it out while I was painting with the markers. But I definitely couldn't, and it made it a lot harder to figure out what to do and where to put color and which parts should be darker and which parts should be brighter. And now I realize that actually I did not need to fill in every little bit of that center. It actually would have ended up better if I had left some breaks in there. So that's something that I definitely regret doing. So for my next practice, definitely going to complete the drawing all the way through. And I'm also going to remember to leave some spaces, because I think I'll do another foliage piece like this, because I find it really great practice to do these kinds of things. Like, I find very good for like color placement and blending and stuff like that. So, and they look pretty at the end, you know, so I think I'll definitely do another flower bunch of some kind. But yeah, no, I definitely have to remember that it's okay to leave some breaks between the leaves and stuff, because I think that it ended up looking a little too stiff maybe at the end. I don't know, like, for the most part, I ended up liking how this looked, but I'm not completely happy with it. Scared to try doing with markers is animals, because I have no idea how I would create the fur or the patterns or like anything like that. I really don't know. I have no idea. So honestly, I'm quite scared to jump into that end of the pool per se and try doing an animal. I know I'll do it eventually, but right now I am just certainly more comfortable with doing flowers and leaves. So I think I'll stick to that for now, but I know it won't be too long before I jump into doing maybe some bunnies or kitties. Oh, and speaking of bunnies, in my next marker video, I'm going to be doing a bit of a spring sketchbook spread, and it's mostly Easter themed. It'll be a little bit late. I think it'll be past Easter when it finally comes out. But it's going to be really cute. So hopefully you go and take a look at that. And actually, I guess I will kind of be drawing an animal in that one. I'll be drawing a bee. I'll be coloring in a bee. So that's a little similar, I guess. Oh, and because I haven't said it yet, the sketchbook that I'm using to do this practice on is actually Bailey J's sketchbook from her shop. I got it as a Christmas present, and I absolutely love working in markers on this. I think it's great. Then again, I actually haven't used any other mediums on this yet because I'm a little scared too, not gonna lie. And it's not because the paper is bad, it's because I don't want to mess up this beautiful sketchbook. And I want to make something nice, so I'm sure I'll try watercolors in here eventually once I have something that I feel would look good with watercolors. But yeah, for markers, so far, it's great. And I'm actually surprised how much I like the square shape of the sketchbook, because I actually never buy square sketchbooks. I have never bought one, I've never worked in one, but I am now because I really liked the design on the sketchbook and I was like, oh my god, I have to have it. So yeah, no, I'm actually finding that working in square format, not that bad actually. Not as bad as I was thinking it was going to be, definitely. I'm finding that marker art certainly lends to a bit more of a cartoony vibe, at least when I do it. Like, just with my very limited skills here, I'm finding that it looks very cartoony, and that's probably because I am very new at it. But because of that kind of look, it's given me different ideas on some things that I can do, which I don't hate, and I actually really like some of the ideas, and I'm very excited to do some of them. So yeah, this is part of the reason why you should definitely try new mediums. You don't have to go all out and buy the most expensive versions of that medium. But yeah, you never know what it can spark in you. It can give you like whole new ideas that you never would have thought of otherwise. So maybe this is your sign to go out and try a new medium if you've been thinking about it. Okay, so we're at the end here. And the reason this is my least favorite part is because when I did this last little bit here, I came home from quite a long day, and I knew that I wanted to work on this marker art, but I was very frustrated and angry from the day, and honestly, I just never should have opened this up and worked on it, because you just should not paint or draw when you're angry. At least for me. I find that I can't really do that because I will not make good decisions and I will just rush everything to get it done with, and that's what I did. So the reason I say that I kind of only half like this piece is because of the end. Like, it was all good up until the end when I rushed it, and I don't know, I think it kind of ruined it a little bit. I wish I would have been calmer when I did this, because I would have made different decisions and I wouldn't have hurried so fast to get it done. So yeah, kind of have a regret there. So maybe if you're like me, like, just don't paint or draw angry, because it just won't turn out good. So that is a lesson I have learned, and I am just never going to do it again. If I'm frustrated, I will just do something else. It is not worth ruining my artwork. So yeah, this is the finished piece. I hope you all enjoyed this video, even though I guess it was, well, maybe no, not really. I was going to say it was kind of all over the place, but I actually stayed pretty on topic today. Anyways, I hope you all have a wonder-filled day. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.